This one is tough. A lot of us are burnt out. A lot of us are tired. A lot of us is at a place where they're done looking, wanting to be in a committed relationship because of a big word. I'll give you two words. Number one is fear. And we're going to talk about fear and how fear impacts our commitment and our willingness to want to be committed. And then rejection. How being rejected causes us to not want to try to be in a relationship. And so we just like to play it safe. A lot of us are playing it safe. I call it the coasting mentality. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The coasting mentality, meaning that a lot of us is just coasting. Don't care about being with somebody. Don't want to be with somebody. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to be in a relationship. You don't have to be married. You don't have to have somebody in your life. But I think we have stopped trying. We have stopped pursuing, and we have stopped allowing ourselves to be pursued because of fear and because of rejection. Let's talk about the fear piece. Fear has impacted our mental so much where we don't want to go through the trauma again. So we rather be safe. So the way to be safe is to have multiple options or don't have an option at all. Being safe in today's world, in today's society, is having backup plans. It's having rosters. Rosters is a way for us to, if one person mess up, it's all good. I got another one on deck. And it's caused us to not fully commit to anything. But the crazy part about it is the flip side of that is that not only are you actually committing to something, you're committing to multiple people. You're committing to multiple lives. You're committing to multiple situations. And that takes even more work, more time, more headspace to remember all that nonsense. Because eventually you got to remember the lie, when you lied, how you lied, when happened when you lied. So the lies can add up. And it becomes so frustrating and becomes so overwhelming where you just like, I don't want nobody no more. I'm done with everybody. I'm done. And sometimes you end up picking somebody that you never wanted to be with, but that was your safe option, but you're not happy or satisfied. Maybe that's your category. That fear. That fear of wasting time again. That fear of finding somebody to only for it to fall in my face and not happen or fall through, I should say. That fear of, I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't want to have to be vulnerable again. I don't want to have to let somebody in my space to only get my heart broke yet again. And so I don't want to commit. I don't want to be committed. And even when you look at the Bible, right? There were people who had multiple wives, and people use biblical to say, well, in the Bible they was dating multiple people. But I always look at the first. I always look at when God started with the first. In Genesis, when he started with the creation, there was only two. There was Adam and there was Eve. And they had a love that was so deep. They had a love that was so strong that Adam risked his life because of love. If you don't know the story, Genesis, the serpent, we know, the enemy, the devil, he tempted Eve to eat from the tree. To eat. from the fruit or eat the fruit from the tree. And Adam knew that if or by Eve eating from the fruit, that she was going to perish, that she was going to surely die. And when Adam, or when God created Eve, when he saw her, he said, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. That was his rib. He didn't want to go without her. He didn't want to live without her. So when you even think about the concept, when God first created relationship, he created two people. And in that relationship, Adam knew that if he didn't eat from the fruit, that Eve was going to perish. And the reason why God was so mad, because even with God, when you even think about the simple terms and you bring it back, that's the relationship. First, it was Adam and God. That was when he had relationship. God rested when he created Adam. And then he said, hey, no man should be alone. You should have a helpmate. And God created Eve. And what hurt God so much, and if you really just, I'm about to make it simple for you. And I'm going to bring it back. What hurt God so much is that God got cheated on by Adam. Because Adam chose Eve over God. And I don't want to say it like that, but God's heart was broken because of Adam's choice. Let me say that. Because I know people may be like, what? God wasn't. No, I don't mean it like that. What I mean by is God was heartbroken because Adam, his first creation, chose Eve over him. That's why he was hurt. Because he didn't address Eve when Eve ate the fruit. He addressed Adam. He addressed Adam for eating the fruit. He didn't say, hey, why did y'all eat from the fruit? He said, Adam, what hast thou done? And at the end of the day, when you break it down and you put it into today's world, a lot of us are hurt, heartbroken. We're fearful of experiencing that heartbreak again. And so to not experience it again, we want to choose to coast. We want to choose to not live. And we want to keep saying, I'm just focusing on me. I'm just focusing on me. I'm just doing me. I don't need no man. I don't need no woman. And again, I'm trying to tell you, you don't need nobody. There's no sin of being single. But God didn't create us to be alone. He created us to be in fellowship and to have companionship. That doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship. But what I think what the bad part or the downside to that is God don't give us the spirit of fear. And we have kind of convoluted and mixed our fear of trying again to now me doing me. When actuality, you do want to try, you just don't want to get your heart broke again. In actuality, you do want to commit to one person, but the last person you commit to, they broke your heart. They cheated on you. They let you down. And so now you don't want to have to go through that again. You don't want to feel that trauma again because it took you about 6-7 years to recover. You don't want to go through another 6-7 years. So you rather just coast. You have a coast mentality. So you saying you don't want to commit to nobody but you. You don't want to commit to another person. You don't want to give that person that much power no more. You don't want to be vulnerable no more. So you have a coasting mentality. That's one group. The other group that's in the coasting mentality is the rejection group. This group has fear of rejection. They don't want to try because every time they try, they get the cold shoulder. Every time they try, they're never good enough. Every time they try, they're never the one picked. And so every time they allow themselves to be vulnerable, to chase right? To chase after something they don't want to. And I've been in that category. Sometimes I'll be in that category even today. I don't even try to fail because of fear. I don't even try to make an attempt because of fear of rejection. And this is why they kind of play hand in hand. And we'll talk about it next episode on what rejection does and why do rejection has such a major impact. We'll talk about that on another episode. But rejection and fear plays together. The fear piece is the culprit of it all that causes us to go into this coasting mentality. And then the fear being the culprit, it impacts our ability to try again, our ability to want us to see if it can work, our ability to fail. Because at the end of the day, you gotta fail. You gotta fall sometimes. And I said it in my earlier videos. I said, in order to appreciate love, you have to know what it feels like to lose it. You have to know what it feels like to be heartbroken. You have to know what it feels like to fail and to mess up on relationships that you've tried to date. Everybody that you with is not always supposed to work. And people can use the biblical sense like, but what about Adam and Eve? That worked. In whose eyes did it work? Because the ultimate relationship was between God and Adam. And when God was rejected, you saw what happened. He cast them out of Eden. You saw how God felt. That was a sign of the first heartbreak. That was the first heartbreak. First heartbreak ever. But God still had grace. God still chose to love. God still gave us another chance. And so I'm encouraging you, family, to give it another chance. If this is your single season, be single. Work on you. But stop using single season as a way to stop trying to find love. Stop using your single season to come into this content mentality where you don't even want to try no more because you are afraid. If God was willing to try again, if God was willing to give it another shot, why can't we? Why can't we say, hey, I want to try this again? And I don't care how many times I fall. I don't care how many times I fail. I don't care how many times it hurts. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep pursuing it. I'm going to keep having hope and I'm going to keep having faith. So I encourage you, family, to don't get content. Don't get the coasting mentality mindset. I mean, not content. Content in a way where you're just happy with just being by yourself for the rest of your life. I don't think we was meant to be by ourselves for the rest of our life, but that's the he or you know what I'm trying to say. I can't get it out right now. My brain is fried. Been a long week. But at the end of the day, family, stop coasting. Stop coasting. Stop taking the safe way out. You got to go through it to get to it. If God can try, so can you. Y'all let me know in the comments below, man. Again, fear is a big thing, man. Fear is huge. Rejection is huge. We could talk about this for hours, and we're going to talk about this more with you guys in February in the month of quote unquote love, where you should be loving every month. But we're going to talk about relationships and building relationships, strong relationships, self-identity, and some other things as well with you guys, though. It's going to be a way where you can get on the show and we're going to talk and we're going to have some guests, man, because we're going to take it to that next level. But I want us to understand that heartbreak hurts, but you need to experience heartbreak to experience some joy sometimes. You got to go through something so you can be appreciative of when you have something great. And that's the part that people are becoming numb to. They don't want to go through it to appreciate and experience the blessing from it. They just want the blessing without the trial. And that's not how life works. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have an amazing week, man. Let me know what some of the things that you guys want to talk about. What are some of the things that you're dealing with? Like I said, we're going to talk about rejection and the impact that it has, and why do people even get bothered by rejection? What is the underlying meaning of the rejection piece? I love you guys. Welcome to another edition of the Vibe Podcast, where it's not about her, it's not about him, it's about bringing two people to become one being. I love you guys so much. Peace.